It's Sports by the Book at the South Point Studio. Here's Jeff Parles.
Welcome in to the Sports by the Book South Point Studio of Jeff Parles. Alex White's here as well. Good morning.
Good morning.
Danny
How's it
Burke,
going?
Danny Burke's going to be with us later
course.
today, as always. He'll keep his Wednesday slot. You know what the good thing about this new schedule is? Because our guy Sean, who a well-deserved day off yesterday for our guy Sean, doesn't have to put up the shot where the seat is empty next to me. It's a good thing. It's really, really good. It's good to have the same schedule now moving forward. Again, if you're joining us now, Tuesday through Saturday, this time slot, starting right at the top of the 9 o'clock hour on the West Coast, noon if you're on the East Coast, happy lunchtime if you're watching us on the East Coast. All right. You know, we're doing something new today. Top 5 at the first 5 here today. And let's get right into it, and we'll start with last night in New Orleans. The Los Angeles Lakers go to the Crescent City, win back-to-back games, win the final game of the regular season, win last night. They made it interesting, though, up as much as 17 in the third quarter. Pelicans come back, tie the game. Lakers win by 4, 110-106. And the Lakers will advance to take on the Denver Nuggets. I know there was a lot of noise, Alex, from people that were saying, oh, they don't want to win this game, and everyone matches up poorly with Denver. No, you just operate, you win the game, and you take your chances now as a plus 320 underdog against the Nuggets, who are minus 380 to win the series behind us.
That's right, and both of them were playing with that intent, trying to win the game. Shout out to Zion Williamson. He had an excellent game, 40 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists. He did all that he could to carry that team, but they aren't out of it just yet, so they'll still have a shot at the Sacramento Kings now.
We'll have more on the Lakers and the Nuggets later in the show. I'm just curious how high that price is going to go, but we'll talk about that a little bit later because we got to get to number 2, Alex.
Number 2, NBA Eastern Conference play-in tournament starts tonight. Miami hoping to follow the Lakers' lead, pulling off the betting and the seed upset. It's going to be a little bit tougher for them. Sixers -5 now most places. And then, of course, we have the 9 and 10 seed, which we will really break down with Danny Burke. But not many people talking about the Hawks and the Bulls.
Some 5.5s now on Philly. We'll get to that game in full in a little bit. I will say this right here, right now. This game tonight in Philadelphia will determine the way that I think the Eastern Conference playoffs are going to go.
Yes.
I can tell you that Miami is so good in the postseason that whoever draws them in round 1, I think, is going to be in big trouble, even if it is 66-win Boston when it's all said and done. We'll get into that game a little bit more in a few moments. Number 3, well, I kind of buried the lead with New Orleans. Zion Williamson injures himself late in the game last night when New Orleans was making the comeback. So his status with a hamstring strain unknown for Friday night against Sacramento. Sacramento annihilated the Warriors last night. As the Kings moved on, the Warriors dynasty, I can say with pretty good confidence, is done. And now the Warriors go into a very tumultuous offseason. Klay Thompson, the bricklayer last night, it was so bad that Twitter thought he was vandalizing houses with bricks. At least the AI thought he was. How bad it was, 0 for 10 for Klay. New Orleans is actually an underdog right now against Sacramento in this one on Friday night right now. I will say this, as we'll have more talk with this with Danny, because I think Danny has thoughts on this, Alex. It is going to be fascinating to see if Zion can't go, where this number ends up going in this one.
Yeah, as I just mentioned, points, rebounds, 40 points for him last night. He had a great game. We both kind of buried the lead there with that injury happening late in the game, but Sacramento looked really good last night. It wasn't even really a game for the Warriors, so should be an interesting matchup for those two. And want to go to number 4?
Well, yeah, we'll get to Sacramento a little bit later. Go to number 4.
Number 4, we got to talk about hockey, of course. And the Panthers steal the 1 seed from the Boston Bruins. And then our favorite, the Washington Capitals, sneak into the playoffs and they grab the final wild card spot.
You buried the lead on the Capitals on how they managed to do it. A little bit of craziness at the end there, Alex, where the Detroit Red Wings, honestly, I think you can put a little blame on them. You can't be messing around. You can't be trailing late in that game against the Canadiens. They force overtime late in regulation, but coinciding with that real time, Alex, John Tortorella and the Flyers needed a win in regulation to stay alive in the playoff chase, In a 1-1 game, Torts pulls the goalie with 4 minutes to go and 1:20 seconds real time after the Red Wings had tied the game and forced overtime. Washington and TJ Oshie scoring the empty net, and there you go, the Caps. One of the worst teams I can remember making the Stanley Cup playoffs get in as the 8th seed, which absolutely means they're live to beat the Rangers in round 1, Alex.
That's why I had to skip that, because you did that so well. I felt like I was watching it again. But you're right, the Capitals' negative 37 goal differential going into the playoffs here.
It's so bad. It's so bad. But here they are. And as we know, look, stats by Lopez, best of 51 needed in order for the favorite to advance in the NHL at the same rate that favorites advance in the NBA's best of 7. So it is, oh boy, you can get yourselves a lot of chaos potentially in the Stanley Cup playoffs. The only note on hockey today, we'll get to in a little bit, there's only one game with meaning now with the Capitals locking up that final playoff berth in the Eastern Conference. And then number 5, baseball. What a day. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games starting before noon out here on the West Coast. Add another 4 that start before 1 o'clock out here on the West Coast. So day baseball running the day here on a Wednesday, Alex White.
We love it, especially as sports bettors. You get action throughout the entire day, right? But a couple high-scoring games that we ended with yesterday as well, and a couple games that went into extra innings. So all the action here for MLB.
Here's your 5 and 6.5. What is it now? Picks at 36 with Frank Nicotero as well. So we're right, 36. Yeah, there we go. We may be, it may be 5 and 6 moving forward. We like the 6s here at the network. All right, let's dive into tonight though. First, let's go to the NBA. We'll get some thoughts on the later game with Danny Burke, but I do have some thoughts on that game. But I want to start in Philadelphia tonight, Alex. The Sixers, 5-point favorites against the Miami Heat. Winner will go on and take on the New York Knicks in round 1. You know, Alex, I said it in the open. I think this game will dictate how the Eastern Conference playoffs go. I know that may sound weird, but remember, same sort of thing happened a year ago. Atlanta, Miami, 7-8. Atlanta upsets Miami in the 7-seed game. Miami flips around, struggles, but beats the Bulls in the following game. Miami made the finals as an 8 seed. I really do think that Miami is live to beat whoever they draw in round 1. And it is so weird to say about a team with a bona fide superstar and an MVP in Joel Embiid. But if I'm the Knicks, I'm hoping the Sixers and chalk win tonight. I really am. I think the Knicks have a better shot at advancing against Philadelphia than they do Miami, which is a very, very bizarre thing to say, but Philadelphia's postseason history shows me that.
Yeah, but this is a different Philadelphia team, and I really think the way they are constructed, and I think what we've seen from Tyrese Maxey, I think that they will be pretty tough for the Knicks, and I think that they're going to get it done tonight. I'm glad you said that there are some 5.5s. I think late last night I still saw some 4.5. So shop around.
One left.
Still one left? So if you like the Sixers, lay the 4.5. If you like the Heat, grab the 5.5, of course. Or if you're feeling brave, and I think maybe you even might want to sprinkle a little money line Miami. You think they get it done tonight?
I think the chalk prevails tonight, actually.
Okay.
I think this is the game where Miami loses and then they beat Ryan McCormick's Chicago Bulls on Friday night. And then, look, it's Boston. They're one of the best regular season teams in recent memory. Miami beat them in 7 a year ago after blowing the 3-0 lead, and then Boston had all the momentum back at home and still lose the game by 20+ in Game 7 at home. That's the bracket right now in the Eastern Conference. Again, we know the matchups. Indiana, by the way, is now a pick in the series against Milwaukee behind us, -110 both sides. And the Cavs, again, a nice size favorite against Orlando. Again, karma is real at all. The Cavs will lose that series to the Orlando Magic for what they did on the final day of the regular season. I do want to add one thing real quick on this Sixers game, because the props in these sorts of games are interesting because the totals have to come down. We saw both games go under last night.
Yep.
The Warrior King game would have gone over if if Golden State had actually shown up on offense at all. But there isn't that much of a difference in the way of these numbers normally because of the way that the totals are less than they would be. This is a 208 tonight. That is super low. By the way, the one bet I would actually consider, I would consider any player to have 40 points tonight. Looking at you, Joel Embiid. I'm getting about plus 370 on that. Wish I was getting 4-1, but this feels like an Embiid overnight tonight, Alex. It really does.
It does. And this is a super low total, like you mentioned, Jeff. And what's crazy is we know Miami, top 5 defense in the league, but 9 of their last 10 games have all gone over the total. So their defense has been slipping up a little bit, focusing more offensively. So I think that's a low total. You could take a shot there. So I do like the Sixers. I'm going to look for that 4.5 if I can. Like you said, I think that chalk prevails. The Sixers also have won and covered in 8 straight since Embiid has been back. And one player that I was actually looking at is Maxey, over 23.5 points. His median is 26, and in the last 7 head-to-head matchups, he's averaged 27 points, including 3 consecutive 30-point games. So I don't know if he'll get you that 40, but I do think he has a great night tonight as well.
The other game tonight, Chicago hosting Atlanta. I think what Steve Jones said yesterday on our show is accurate.
I do too.
This game is going to fly over because someone in this game is going to stop playing defense. And I would lean towards that being Atlanta. We have seen in this game, especially the 9-10s, where if the 10 seed gets down early, 1, 2, 3 Cancun. That is what it's been with these teams. So I like the Bulls. I like this thing over tonight, Alex.
Completely agree. I'm with you here. We have the Hawks, who are the 4th worst defense in the league. Chicago's not much better. They are 9th, but I think that they ultimately get it done here, and I think they have the best player on the court. Trae Young hasn't been back very long, and that's what's pretty wild. They've had a little time. I think he's played 3 games, but not enough for them to really get back in sync. So looking at his unders as well, I saw 22.5 and
23.5 now.
23.5, like that even more. So in his last 3 games back, he scored 14 against Charlotte, 19 against Minnesota, and 12 against Indiana. So good under there, I think, with Trae Young.
It is. It is just one of these games where, again, we didn't see the give up factor last night with Golden State. They just didn't play well. They didn't play well. I think that's different than the give up factor, which I think is very much alive and well potentially with Atlanta here tonight against the Bulls. Again, winner of this one will play on Friday night either in Philadelphia or Miami, depending on the result tonight in Philly. We both like the Sixers to advance to take on the Knicks. We both like the Bulls to advance to take on Miami.
We both like the favorites. What could go wrong?
Yeah, what could go wrong? A little bit different. Dogs last night, both of them. I'm still surprised the Lakers closed an underdog in that game last night. Really am.
I am too, especially we just saw that matchup in the last game. And I know you talked about it yesterday. We saw New Orleans kind of pull back once they knew that they clearly weren't winning that game. But still, yeah, a little surprising. I did jump in on the Pelicans in-game, though, when they were down.
So they took some points?
Took some points.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
Look,
that's not a bad, close enough for me.
It's not a bad strategy with home teams in the playoffs. Get down a bunch, get a bunch of points, take them, and see if they can get the game close, which New Orleans obviously got the game timed. Just couldn't get over the hump on that one. I want to go to hockey real quickly here, Alex, and then we'll hit a break and get some baseball on the other side of it. There's only one game with meaning tonight. That's the Dallas Stars, who need a point to wrap up the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. They're big favorites at home against St. Louis tonight. They're minus 240 in this one. Total of 6 for Dallas. I mean, do you lay the puck and a half at laying $1.05 with Dallas? Do you just take a Blues team total under? I mean, what do you do here with this one?
I would try and find a dance partner to tie up with the Stars. I don't know if I'm that comfortable with the puck and a half in this one, because the Blues have historically played Dallas very well. They're actually 2-1 against them this year. Dallas won the first one in a shootout, 2-1, and then the Blues won in overtime in the second game, and then they won 2-1 just back in December. So I do think they play them tough. I think they will show up for this one and try to hold Dallas from getting that number 1 spot, but ultimately, I think the Stars do win. So I would go money line here and find a partner, maybe a baseball favorite you like.
The other 3 games tonight, Toronto and Tampa's already, again, both of their fates are sealed. Tampa's going to play Florida in the Floridian Bowl in round 1, which is honestly great, with the Panthers, as you mentioned before, stealing the number 1 seed in the Atlantic Pod. We saw that series a few years ago. Those teams hate each other, so that will be a great one. Toronto is matched against Boston, which is probably good news for Boston, in all honesty, with the lack of success, even though they finally busted through and won a playoff series a year ago with the Maple Leafs. Minus 145 on the Lightning tonight if you're interested in betting that. Islanders and Penguins. Penguins, they're done. Just playing out the string now. Isles are basically playing their backups tonight, and the Penguins are minus 130 because of that.
And then the last game on the board, we have the Edmonton Oilers going to Arizona. We saw their last outing. They looked really good with getting McDavid back. I made Toronto and Tampa 7 and Edmonton and Arizona 7, but I'm kind of avoiding the overs right now. If there was one I would play, it would probably be this one with the Coyotes and Oilers, because Arizona's fast. They skate fast. They can keep up with these good teams. They just fall short at the end.
The final game in Arizona for the Arizona Coyote franchise, with the move to Salt Lake City imminent. One last time there at the event center on the campus of Arizona State for the Coyotes. What an article yesterday, actually, about just the dichotomy of the Arizona franchise versus the Florida Panthers, and the fact that the Panthers had their best attendance season ever this year, and it very easily, look, hockey in warm markets, in non-traditional hockey markets, I should put it.
Yeah.
A hit or miss proposition. Obviously has worked great here in Vegas, has worked in South Florida, was worked in Tampa Bay, did not work in Arizona. So Coyotes, I would imagine they will not be the Salt Lake City or Utah Coyotes. I imagine we'll have a new name coming.
I think that's a fair assessment there. But I will say winning definitely helps. Remember 3 years ago, the Panthers, they won the President's Trophy or Cup? President's
Trophy.
Trophy.
Yeah.
And then
trust your gut on that.
And then fell short. And then last year made that amazing run to play the Knights for the Stanley Cup
And then,
Finals.
of course, the Knights. It doesn't hurt when you make the Cup final in year 1. Doesn't hurt. With that, to say the very least. All right, we'll take a quick break. When we get back, quick hitters in baseball, and our good friend Danny Burke will join us as well in about 15 minutes when we get back. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
From the South Point Studio, the perfect blend of sports.
But I think the Niners are going to wear them down. Detroit Pistons lost their 36 games.
Comedy.
See over-under on that relationship lasting. I'm going to put mayo in the coffee.
Yes. I am beautiful. And a whole lot of Pittsburgh.
In Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh. Yeah.
Pittsburgh. Join Ryan McCormick.
That's at least 2 picks outside of our own in the first round next year. Oreo.
And host Frank Nicotero.
I look at the clock, I go, ah! Ah!
Oh! Watch Punchlines live at noon every weekday.
Once you've satisfied your hunger, get ready for more of the hottest casino games in Vegas. Our 24-hour, 30-table non-smoking poker room proudly hosts all the most popular poker games with a variety of betting limits. Visit the poker room for a schedule of daily tournaments. Whether you're going to hold 'em or fold 'em, the best place for poker is at South Point Casino. You'll notice that our craps tables are usually the loudest in the casino. If you've never played, join one of our free craps lessons to find out what makes this game so exciting. Check with the craps dealer for schedules and give it a roll. Bingo is also an exciting way to spend your time. We offer 7 sessions of bingo every day. Bingo! And each session includes a cash ball jackpot, 12 bingo games, a progressive double action game, and a $10,000 bonus coverall. Electronic units are available. If you haven't played bingo with us, give it a try today. Guests can also get in on the action at our one-of-a-kind race and sports books. 2 separate rooms designed to maximize your experience and comfort. Our sports book, with over 400 seats, puts you right in the middle of the action, 24 hours a day.
Welcome back in Sports by the Book. I'm Jeff Parles, Alex White alongside. By the way, this morning, Alex, our guy Sean scared me. I thought he was talking about cutting off the locks that he has.
What do you mean? What happened?
He's threatening to cut his hair,
Oh,
which is
did he lose a bet?
hopefully not. Well, he lost Clay Thompson last night, but that was not a circle that mentioned that you bet Clay Thompson overs last night, Sean. I promise. But look, the locks got to stay. I mean, that's what makes Sean Sean.
Yeah, you got to
Good,
keep the long
good.
hair.
We're gonna do a little golf clap for that. All right, let's go to baseball. Oh, good, human error by me. Giants and Marlins are already underway. We had that listed at 9:30, not 9:10. So apologies there. That essentially ended up as a flip with Wynn and Rogers. You ended up betting the Giants in that game?
I did not.
You did not?
No, that is one that I really thought was good value, good spot to jump in on San Francisco.
Marlins actually won a baseball game yesterday.
Yes, they did.
Good for them. Good for them. I'm really, really proud of the Miami Marlins.
It's been a little trend, though. They can sneak out one of the series, but they already got theirs yesterday, so that's another reason why. And Trevor Rogers, 8 strikeouts to his 14 walks so far in his 10 innings pitched, so we'll see. We'll see how this one goes.
I just want to bring up real quick, I know you don't have a play on this game, but I like the Padres again today against the Milwaukee Brewers to complete the sweep. We're getting Michael King at even money here in this one. This market has gone all over the map. Where San Diego opened a favorite, they got as high as plus 108, and now back to even. I think even is still fine on San Diego. Reality is starting to strike for the Milwaukee Brewers, who I thought were a pretty average team coming into the year. Their offense has been very average in these first 2 games against the Padres. Last night, we were all over Dylan Cease. Got that one pretty easily when it was all said and done. But even enough pitching a matchup here. And I think that the reality is starting to strike Milwaukee. I do like the Padres here as a small underdog in this one.
I don't mind it, but like you said, no play for me on this one. I made it pretty close to this number, so pass for me on that.
We'll bring up one other one that's had a big price spike, which I'm a little bit confused by. Pirates and Mets. Mets are going for a 3-game sweep, coming from behind in the first 2 games. By the way, even though the Pirates pulled Jones after 59 pitches last night, you still got there on your strikeout prop. I don't know why Derek Shelton is pulling him after 59 pitches. Pirates lost the game because of that.
Right.
Going to their bullpen too early. The Mets are over 500, which is
Yes,
pretty miraculous
they are.
after their 0-5 start. I'm a little surprised by this price, though. This got as high as plus 148 behind us, back down to plus 140 on the Buccos. I think that's reasonable with Bailey Falter today if you want to take a shot on Pittsburgh at a pretty nice underdog price against Lee Severino, who's been hit or miss so far this year.
I agree. And you know what? I was actually looking at Severino's strikeout prop going under that because I saw some 6.5 out there, and he's failed to record 7 strikeouts in 19 of 21 starts going back to last year. So I think you have some value on that one as well. But you're right. That could be a good dog of the day if you want to take a shot at the Pittsburgh Pirates.
I'm surprised by that pricing. I really am, Alex. It just doesn't make sense that the Mets are that big of a favorite in that one. All right, I do want to ask you this on the Dodgers. I know it's not listed as a play, but Landon Knack makes his major league debut today for the Los Angeles Dodgers. And the Los Angeles Dodgers, yes, they are the best team in baseball, are a minus 220 favorite behind us. They're even bigger favorites at other shops. They're minus 240 at Superbook, which is saying something. I mean, you got the kid making his major league debut. Isn't this kind of worth a shot on the Nats, at least taking the 1.5 at a plus price and then the even bigger plus price on the outright here?
I think so, definitely. If you're making this number without any stats or power rating here on this pitcher, you make them about minus 155. So I think that minus 220 is a little extreme. And like you said, I know they are the best team in baseball, but the Nationals aren't terrible, and their offense and defensive rating haven't been bad. We have Jake Irvin on the mound for them. He's about a 85 power rated pitcher here. So I agree.
Again, Knack is the Dodgers' best pitching prospect. But again, major league debut. We already saw this earlier in the year with Yamamoto in his major league debut, got absolutely torched in South Korea by the Padres in that game. And I was going to say that afternoon, but whatever time of day it was here in the States. But that's a big price delay with a guy making his major league debut. Hey, maybe it's Steven Strasburg all over again, of course, over a decade ago. Now, hey, Strauss retired a few days ago, which is
he was for the Nationals.
yeah. Well, that debut, man. I mean, against the Pirates. It all comes back to Pittsburgh, obviously, in this studio. So, pretty amazing nonetheless. All right, I have Cubs and Diamondbacks. Alex, you have a play that you are leaning towards in this one. D-backs won an absolutely insane game last night, 12-11, winning that one against the Cubs. They send Fott to the mound against Jordan Wicks for Chicago. The Diamondbacks have been bet up to $1.27 behind us now.
I think it's a buy low spot on Arizona. I think that because how they have played against left-handed pitchers so far, that this number is very low for you, but they're 3-6 on the year against lefties, just to throw that out there. But their team batting average is 279, so I think that they have some positive regression here for the Diamondbacks against lefties, and they've done good all year. So I think it's a good spot for them and a cheap price with them being at home.
Let's go to the American League real quick. Orioles and Twins. Good pitching matchup here in Baltimore. Suarez and Pablo Lopez. It's not very often that you're going to get a nice price on Baltimore like this at home, but you're also getting Pablo Lopez, who's the better pitcher here in this one as a dog. So complicated handicap for me. Up to $1.18 now. That legitimately just moved 32 seconds ago.
You're right, Lopez. He's above 100 power rating here, so the Twins definitely have the better pitcher, but if you look at all the other numbers, offense and defensive rating, Baltimore has them there. So a little bit lean to the Orioles. I think that 118 is fine.
We're going to save our dogs for later in the show. Two American League underdogs that Alex Light likes today, including going against one of the better pitchers in the American League in another afternoon game. We'll take a quick break. When we get back, Danny Burke, his usual time. He'll join us next. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
South Point is also proud to provide a variety of relaxing amenities for the guests who want to be pampered. Soak up the sun and let your stress melt away in our lagoon-style paradise swimming pool. A relaxing getaway where you can bask in the desert sun and enjoy seasonal food and bar service poolside. And if you really want to escape, come to Spa Costa del Sur. From couple suites to a co-ed wet area, our spa caters to business and leisure travelers who want to unwind and elevate their senses. A visit to one of our spa's steam, sauna, or whirlpool treatment rooms will leave any guest feeling like they can take on the world. Our gaming amenities include over 60 table games and over 2,600 of the most popular slot and video poker machines. We have penny slots, including the popular Buffalo games, and real machines like Wheel of Fortune, Triple Sevens, and Megabucks. If you prefer video poker, try Deuces Wild, Double Bonus, or a variety of multi-denomination games. Or try your hand at one of the most popular casino table games in the world, Blackjack. Don't let the game intimidate you. Blackjack, also known as 21, is both easy and fun. And our dealers are always happy to assist. And the best part? Blackjack always pays 3-2. Next, check out the roulette tables. Roulette is one of the easiest casino games to learn, and so much fun to play. It's a favorite of both beginners and seasoned players. In addition to blackjack and roulette, our casino pit features over 60 popular table games like Baccarat, Pai Gow Poker, 3-Card Poker, Ultimate Texas Hold'em, and Mississippi Stud. So get out of your room and come join in the fun.
Welcome back in Sports by the Book, South Point Studio. I totally missed this, but it is now now confirmed by Shams Charania. We mentioned this a few weeks ago with Jonte Porter and the investigation into irregularities within his prop markets. He has been officially lifetime banned from the NBA. So that is not a shock based off of what is reported. The NBA investigation said that Porter disclosed confidential information to sports bettors, limiting his own participation in one or more games for betting purposes and betting on NBA games from January to March. 13 bets Porter placed on NBA games using associates' accounts. So Pete Rose, Jonte Porter, here you go. It's just so stupid. Just so stupid in this day and age. I mean, and this is, again, like there's been so much said over the last few weeks on sports betting with everything that's happened with Shohei Ohtani and his interpreter. Remember, that's with an illegal betting,
right?
Legal betting operations. Look at this. Part of the reason this got caught is because of legalized sports betting. So I'm just going to throw that out there.
Very good point.
This was caught because this was apparently made at legal books. I know that DraftKings had mentioned that Jonte Porter unders were bet heavily those two specific days in question, and it's a shame. It's a shame. Jonte Porter ruined his life. Ruined his life for a few extra bucks. Stupid. Very stupid in the end. All right. Danny Burke is going to join us now, and no way to artfully segue from that to our guy DB. Other than the fact, DB, it's not in your shot now, but when we get your full screen, actually, Sean, take Danny's full screen real quick while we're talking to him, because our fearless leader, Ann, over here, pointed out in the background, if you see over Danny's left shoulder on the right side of your screen, the noggin hat, the gigantic hat. Danny, that's impressive.
There.
I mean, the size of that thing is amazing. Just showing off of what it is from there.
Yeah, first of all, I thought you were going to transition and say, speaking of stupid, let's bring on Danny Burke. And secondly, the big hat does have a little bit of background to it. I must have said this to someone else. I thought I might have brought it up on this show, but it was comical because my sister was working the event, doing some photography down for the college football championship game. And I don't know if this happened simultaneously or something different, but regardless, she came back and brought a couple gifts. And my dad ended up getting a Jerry Rice signed book, and I got dealt with the big hat, the big helmet hat. So look, beggars can't be choosers, but if Jerry Rice would have signed the hat, probably would have been a little bit better. But thank you to my sister nonetheless. But yes, had to hang it up there for the memorabilia stage to get in the background of the shot.
It's incredible. We love it. We love it for sure. All right, DB, I want to start with the later game tonight, which is the 9-10 in the Eastern Conference. You're in Chicago. It has been a season for the Chicago Bulls, but here they are with an opportunity to play themselves into the tournament. They take on an Atlanta team that is just an absolute utter mess on the defensive side of the ball. Trae Young is back after missing an extended period of time. But what are we looking at here in this one? A total that seems relatively low. Yes, we know postseason lowers totals a bunch, 222.5, and Chicago laying 3.
Look, Jeff, you know my sentiment with this Bulls team. And from an outside analytical handicapping perspective, Chicago's going to win this game. I said the same thing last year when they got into the playing game. They're going to win that first playing game. And just being in the playing game in itself, to Jerry Reinsdorf, the owner, is essentially a win, right? Because he could go, we technically made the postseason. We're playing after the regular season, so we don't need to do any different construction with our roster. We don't need to alter anything. We are completely fine. We're leading the league in attendance. We made it to the postseason. We're fine and dandy. So inevitably, the Bulls are going to win this game, and then just like last year, probably lose to the Miami Heat after blowing a lead with about 2 minutes to go, just teasing us Bulls fans enough that they aren't going to get into the postseason. postseason. So that's the outside handicap. The actual handicap, I do truly believe the Bulls will win this game. And I think home court does play a large part in that, among many other factors. Look, DeMar DeRozan played in 40 clutch games this season. He leads the league in clutch scoring, shooting over 48% from the floor, over 46% from deep. The Bulls found themselves in so many of those situations. Realistically, it's probably going to come down to that once again. And the Bulls, with the home court advantage and having that experience and the better defense, will bode in their favor for this specific situation. Trae Young coming back into the mix certainly scares me a little bit in looking to back this Chicago Bulls team, because he has been the playing game killer. I mean, this guy has in 3 or 4 appearances since it's originated in the playing game. Trae Young's been phenomenal. However, the Bulls have actually limited Young pretty well in the couple of games they faced him. He was limited to 21 and 19 points respectively, shot under 29% from the floor and 23% from three-point range. Now, the Bulls defense statistically as a unit is not ranking as strong as they did in seasons prior, but they do present Alex Caruso, who arguably could have been a first-team All-NBA defender. Javante Carter coming off the bench is a ferocious defender as well. And Ayo Dosunmu is really good along the perimeter, very lanky, and he can limit him in those shot opportunities. So if you can limit Trae Young like they've done in the past, and when they did in those 2 games they won, the Bulls should be able to replicate that and get the job done tonight. They don't have depth to compete in an actual round of a playoff series because they only really rely on their starting cast, but in a do or die scenario at home against a way more unstable Atlanta team, the Bulls get the nod for me. And yeah, I laid minus 140 on the money line. If you get 2.5, I don't mind that at all. Again, I've just watched so many Bulls games and know how sweat-filled these events can be at the end when it's like a minute left and garbage time buckets can kill you. So I laid a little bit more for that security, but I do believe Chicago gets the job done.
Danny, let's go to the early game to Philadelphia. The Sixers have won 8 straight and covered in all 8 since Embiid came back, but now you have to lay 5 at most shops against this Miami Heat team who we know they like to turn it on in the playoffs, to say the least. Do you like a side in this one?
I would lean toward Philadelphia. I haven't bet anything, Alex. If this line was at 4, I'd be a lot more tempted to go with the Sixers. And for that reason, I'm probably just going to wait for an in-game bet to see if it comes down at some capacity. It's hard to just go against Miami because, yes, we've seen them be awful this year. They've been a very volatile bunch. Their offense has gone in several droughts throughout the year, and they've struggled to stay healthy. But we always see them pick it up at this point of the season. So until they don't, it's hard to ignore the success that they've had at this specific point. Joel Embiid being back in the mix, it goes without being said how massive that is. He leads the team in efficiency differential, aside from Melton, who's been injured for a majority of the year. So having Embiid back in the mix, having that home court advantage should bolster Philadelphia to a win. I don't like that the spread is teetering around the 5 and 5.5 mark, but if I get it at 4 in-game at some point, barring anything crazy happening, I probably look to target the 76ers live.
Yeah, you have any concerns about Joel Embiid's health here in this one as well, Danny? He didn't play Sunday. He left the game on Friday for a little bit after a Euro step that didn't go 100% right. Is there any concern on your end on that?
Not for the playing game scenario, kind of like I was saying with the Bulls and their starting 5 is so relied upon, they can get away with a 1-game spot. Throughout an entire series, yes, that's when I would be worried about Embiid, not just because of him being injury prone, but because of his fatigue. We've seen him tire out because of how much weight is put on his shoulders in seasons past when he's been healthy. Now he missed a big chunk of the season heading into the latter portion of the year, and you're just going to throw him into the mix. Yes, he'll perform well, but again, that conditioning is going to catch up to him. So whether he's playing the Sixers, whether they're playing the Celtics, whatever it may be, it's not going to be a favorable series despite people thinking they could be a sneaky contender. Maybe for those first couple of games, you could look to take the points with them, but realistically, this isn't a team capable of winning a series.
DB, let's say that Chuck does prevail and your Chicago Bulls move on. Who would you rather see? Who's a better matchup for them, the Sixers or the Miami Heat here?
Well, for the Bulls, it has to be the Miami Heat. And I say that because, again, Joel Embiid can kill them in a 1-game scenario, and he has crushed, and I mean crushed the Bulls in the past. And I think Philadelphia has a very intimidating home court presence, more so than Miami. It's not to knock Miami's, and maybe I'm overstating these home court advantages more than I should. But the Bulls were, again, coming down with 90 seconds, almost beating this Miami team last year to get a spot in the playoffs. Miami ends up coming back, almost winning by double digits themselves and going on a run to the championship. Chicago has enough in the tank to get past this Miami team because you don't have as much of a force of Bam Adebayo against Nikola Vucevic as you would with Embiid against Vucevic. That's the difference there, is because Bam's not as perennial as a scoring threat as he has been in the past. Joel Embiid can still give you 40 on any given night, and that would be the death of this Bulls team. So I think Miami would be a better situation for the Bulls without a doubt.
Danny, just looking at the Eastern Conference here, obviously we'll find out who the Knicks are playing tonight. We'll find out who the Celtics are playing on Friday. We know 2 matchups already. The Bucks and the Pacers are now a pick at most shops with the news of Giannis likely missing at least 2 games. And quite frankly, I would be shocked if we see him in the series at all at this rate. And then the Cavs, who openly tanked the fourth quarter against the Hornets to get this matchup against the Orlando Magic. So they're about minus 190 favorites. Is there anything in either of those 2 series? I know it's hard to bet the Pacers-Bucks series unless if you like Milwaukee at this point. I get that. But is there anything there on either of those 2?
You said it perfectly with Milwaukee and Indiana. I mean, at this point, it's tempting to look at the Bucks, but because of the unknown, the uncertainty of Giannis Antetokounmpo, I haven't touched anything there. I'll wait to see if the Pacers maybe snag a game, and it looks like Giannis could return, and then you can still maybe get an affordable price with the Bucks. The Cavs and Magic, I'm writing up about this game. And right now I have it classified as a lead, but I may end up betting this. Jeff, I saw your tweet the other day, and I agree completely. Like, the Cavaliers deserve all the wrong things to happen to them against the Orlando Magic. They have been such an infuriating team, and they've screwed me on some bets several times, and I know the fan base has just been irate. They have been dealing with injuries, so they haven't had a stable roster, but still, among the 6 teams that are solidified in the postseason, so 12 teams altogether, the Cavs and the Pacers lead all of those teams for the most blown leads in the NBA this season with 31. 13 of them have occurred in the fourth quarter. What's the difference here and why I can't bet the Magic? It's because Orlando has not met that adversity in the postseason. When you make your way through a playoff run in the NBA, typically you have to get in first and you have to get chiseled with that adversity. You have to deal with that experience. The Cavaliers at least did that last year, though disappointing, and the season's been disappointing, but that's what's going to give them the leg up. I understand Orlando's great defensively. Guess what? So is Cleveland. Cleveland gets the offensive nod in general and in particular because they have a closer. They have a star player in Donovan Mitchell who can hit those late shots when you need him to. Orlando hasn't really molded a player to come into that quite yet. I know Banchero could become that, but he's still young. This entire team is young. And again, the lack of adversity and being in this stage at this point of the year is going to be a detriment to Orlando. Now, that's not to say that I want to lay the steep price with Cleveland, guys, but I actually would look at the series spread minus 1.5 games. I saw plus 130 was the best price. I hate myself for doing it, Jeff. I haven't done it yet. I'm going to hate myself if I do it. And anything that goes wrong, I only have myself to blame because I know how poor this Cleveland team has been. But again, the inexperience of Orlando causes trepidation for wanting to back them.
Look, as I said earlier, if karma's a real thing at all, Danny, I mean, Cleveland's going to lose this series. I mean,
I know.
It was so ridiculous. And we discussed it yesterday. There's no looking ahead of just round 1 by Cleveland where right. I would, if I'm the Cavs, I want the 2 seed. All right. You know what? It's the Sixers. They're good. If Embiid's healthy, Philadelphia is probably actually favored in that series against Cleveland without home court. But you know what? I'd rather have that shot. And Joel Embiid's not 100% healthy. And Cavs can beat them. And then your road to make the Eastern Conference Finals is either Milwaukee with an injured Giannis or not even Giannis or an inexperienced Pacers team. Like, what are we doing here for Cleveland? Okay, so you got an experienced Orlando. Woohoo. You might win a playoff series. You're supposed to. Woohoo. Congratulations on losing to Boston, Miami, or Philadelphia in the next round.
Exactly. And you're right. I mean, even if you go up against, let's say, an Embiid, you would think with the presence of Mobley now back in the mix and Jared Allen, you could at least scheme enough to contain or hopefully limit Joel Embiid and make a guy like Maxey or Harris or anybody else try to step up to the plate. But again, this Cleveland team has been so good on the defensive side of the ball. You would think they would be content with that matchup and think they're still a good enough team to overcome Philadelphia with the home court advantage on their side. I'm with you. I mean, look, that's probably what it's going to be at the end of the day. You win a series against Orlando, awesome. Hang that in the rafters because that's all they're going to get if they get past Orlando.
Danny, let's move to the Western Conference. I know you have two series that are very important for you. Let's start with the Clippers, and I'm curious because I know you have a future bet on them. Kawhi Leonard, we're still uncertain about the injury. I'm curious if you know anything more. And Mavs are minus 140 to win this series. Do you do anything here? Do you jump in on that side a little bit, or are you just riding it out?
Well, so how about this line movement in the series? I mean, the Clippers opened up as a slight favorite, it seemed, in a couple of places. Now it's just been all Mavericks love. I mean, Dallas has been one of the hotter teams at the end of the stretch. And like you mentioned, Alex, the uncertainty of Kawhi Leonard certainly presents an opportunity of wanting to stay away from touching Los Angeles. And I don't really blame anybody. And yeah, it's kind of a bummer. I wish they were healthy and had a better draw so I could keep that ticket alive. I do think Dallas prospers through here in this series. But the way that I did bet it is I think the series does go 6 or 7 games. So here in Illinois, the best price I saw on over 5.5 games was minus 195, or you could bet the series to end in 6 games exactly or 7 games exactly. The 6-game finish was plus 200. The 7-game was plus 230. If I was laying 1.95 units to win one on over 5.5, all right, then I'd win that 1 unit and save 0.05 less and doing a unit on each of those exact games with the potential to win 0.30 more units if I did the exact games. I know it may sound confusing saying it out loud, but again, I'll have a write-up on it later. But that's how I handicapped it, a unit on the series to finish in Game 6 and Game 7, plus 200 and plus 230 respectively. Even if Kawhi's not playing, the Clippers still have enough offensive pieces to compete with the Mavericks. Now, the Mavericks have gotten a lot better defensively since the All-Star break in the additions of Gafford and P.J. Washington. Since February 22nd, they've ranked 10th in defensive effective field goal percentage, 53.7%. But Paul George, he's been insanely hot offensively. Since March, he's shot 51% from the floor and almost 46% from deep. I don't think he can carry them to win the series, but I think at home for a game or two, he can carry them if Kawhi's not playing to a win or two, which will get us to 6 or 7 games, that eventually seeing Dallas and potential MVP Luka Doncic go through. But yeah, I'm just banking on this being a longer series, lean toward Dallas winning.
Yeah, I want to see what version of Kawhi Leonard we're going to get before doing anything in this series. Again,
Right.
dealing with a knee injury, not as severe. Again, it's always scary with Kawhi, where when we don't hear anything, it usually means it's something horrible with him.
Exactly.
We haven't heard much, even though there were some rumblings the other day from Woj that this is not the same as what we've seen in the past. Danny, I just want to throw this out there for Friday night. We already know that Sacramento is going to play New Orleans, with the winner getting the Oklahoma City Thunder. Zion's injury kind of throws a little bit of a complication into this handicap and into a potential 1-8 matchup. But who would you rather see get through to play Oklahoma City? Because, look, the Thunder were awesome in the regular season. They're the 1 seed for a reason. But we have never seen a team that inexperienced get the 1 seed, and that kind of scares me, even against two teams that don't have a lot of playoff experience themselves, potentially, as the matchup.
Personally, I would like to see the Pelicans go through from a fan perspective and a betting perspective, because you're right, the inexperience of the Thunder coming up and getting the 1 seed, again, they're going to have to deal with this adversity, and they're going to fall short at some point. Not in the first round, maybe not in the second round, but realistically, they will not be representing the Western Conference in the finals. The Kings are a team that you can also label as just infuriating and frustrating, and all of those negative connotations that can be applicable to the Sacramento Kings. And it doesn't help that they've lost 2 sharpshooters in Kevin Huerter and Malik Monk. It worked for them last night against Golden State. Hey, guess what? Golden State had one of their worst efforts. So Sacramento, hats off to you. But even if the Pelicans don't have Zion Williamson, which it kind of seems like they won't, I still think New Orleans gets out on top of this one because Sacramento's defense is atrocious. And, while you saw some role players step up, it's not something that you can really consistently rely on. The thing that scares me with the Pelicans is the fact that Brandon Ingram came back from this injury and he was non-existent whatsoever in the fourth quarter. I'd feel a lot better about the Pelicans and probably bet them right now, even with the uncertainty of Zion, if Brandon Ingram just didn't completely evaporate from that game last night. So that's the only reason I haven't made a play in that one as of this moment. But if everything seems okay and there's no rumblings around that, I still think New Orleans gets the job done. And if Zion can play and be healthy against the Thunder, I think that's going to present a alluring betting opportunity for New Orleans to maybe cover the series spread, maybe bet the over on total games, or just look for the Pelicans on a game-to-game basis. The Thunder should win, but I think the Pelicans, if healthy, would make it a very intriguing series.
Very true, especially if they do have Zion Williams back in full strength. Let's talk about the Lakers really quick. Last thing for me. So they win, and then, of course, they get the defending champions in the Denver Nuggets. Huge favorite, minus 380 in the series price. Lakers, you're getting plus 320. Did you find a way to bet this one as well?
So my lean right now is Denver minus a game and a half on the series spread. Minus $1.40 is the best price that I've witnessed here in Illinois. The Lakers are on an 8-game losing skid to the Nuggets. It's been like over a year and 3 months since they last defeated the reigning champions. The Nuggets have still been great this year. They finished with a better record this year than they did last year, but they fell to the second seed. It's not really going to matter in this specific setting. I do think the Lakers are a better team and have better personnel than they had last playoffs when they got swept by the Nuggets. So I think Los Angeles probably gets a game, maybe two. But the Nuggets are a far better rebounding team, 51.5% with their rebound percentage compared to the Lakers' 49.6%. I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but with these bigs present, it certainly makes a difference. The Lakers have been great offensively, fourth in effective field goal percentage, but Denver was top 10 in that and points per 100 possessions. And defensively is where the separator relies because Lakers were bottom half in defensive categories, effective field goal percentage and points per 100 possessions. Denver, top 10 in that regard. Denver's bench production and their role players making contributions will be the difference. That was the difference in why they were able to be champions last year, and that's going to loom large once again, not only in this series, but the other series that they're a part of for this playoff run. So I would look at Denver minus a game and a half, despite having to lay minus 140. I think that's the only way I would approach this one.
His show is Burke's Beat. That's the website as well. Danny Burke 5 on the tweets. DB, pleasure as always, man. We will talk to you again next week.
Absolutely. Sounds like a plan, guys. Appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Danny.
Danny Burke, everyone. All right, I can get rid of the headphones, and we can get into the two dogs that Alex White liked in Major League Baseball in the American League. Let's get to it. Starting in Motown, Tariq Skubal. What a stud he is. But you're going against him today with Dane Dunning and the Texas Rangers. You're actually getting an even better price now, plus 134 on Texas.
So I actually like the other dog more, but
okay,
this
we'll
one
get to that. Don't worry.
This one did stand out to me because I do think there is some value here with the Texas Rangers, who are still a very good team. But kind of like one of the games I talked about earlier, the Rangers just haven't been good against left-handed pitchers. They are 1-4 on the year, but they are so good offensively and defensively. The Tigers have really overachieved so far this year, so I think you're getting a great price here with the Rangers. Small play on the Texas Rangers.
Yeah, this is I'm concerned to go against Skubal.
That's
That's my hesitation here more so than anything. But I'll Alex on the dog in that one, and then the Cleveland Guardians on the road in Boston tonight. It's whenever you see in the box score, be lively. My brain, of course, goes to Blake, which makes a whole lot of sense.
I thought that was just me, but
no, I mean that makes sense. But Ben Lively gets his first start of the year. We've seen him bounce around through his major league career. He'll go against Tanner Houck tonight of the Red Sox. Plus 115 on the Guardians, still good.
I think so. I really do. This is my favorite one. They are 9-2 on the road this year, averaging 6.3 runs and allowing just 2.5. The Red Sox, on the other side, 2-6 at Fenway Park this year. So they haven't been great at home in their past 7 games. They're just 2-5, averaging 4 runs and allowing 6.4. So I do like the Guardians in this spot. And just remember, Jeff, be lively at baseball games is the pitcher. Be lively at football games with Taylor Swift. That's Blake Lively.
Okay. Well, no, I figured that Blake Lively was not pitching for the Cleveland Guardians today. I figured that would be something.
This ties in so well with Frank's show. I'll have to bring it up because his punchlines. He's been showing people playing with Taylor Swift batting, so it works out very well. I'll have to tell him.
Okay.
The show, playing the show, putting Taylor Swift in as a
Okay, now I was very confused by what you were saying.
Sorry.
It's like,
Ryan,
did Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce take batting practice at Kaufman? That would have that would have broke the internet if it happened. That's why I was a little surprised I didn't see it. But that makes more sense.
Their publicist is missing out. That's a great idea.
Absolutely, what they should do. Even though probably as much as I love Kansas City in the summer, Alex. Just find the clip that Ichiro said about Kansas City in the summer, kids there at home. Well, I don't know if kids are watching this, but you know the deal. on that one. All right, one last thing before we go here, Alex. I do like the St. Louis Cardinals today against the Oakland A's. The A's, the A's have been better.
And you've liked Blackburn.
I do.
So far this
season. I do, but only $1.30. It's $1.32 right now. Only $1.30 on the Cardinals. They're playing better. They're still not all the way there. I still think they're a pretty average team, but that's a pretty good price. As long as you don't get a Mats blow up, I think this is pretty good on St. Louis. A minus 130, minus 132. Again, all these baseball games, all but 4 of them today, are going early. It's a lot of day baseball, and a lot of it gets going in the next 15 minutes. So make sure you lock in your wagers immediately.
Yes.
Get them in now, or else you're going to be out of luck before these games get rolling today in the early goings, Alex. Very weird. There's all this day baseball on a Wednesday, too. Very strange.
I'm not mad about it at all. And thanks for the reminder because I need to lock in mine, too. That was fun going through them. Glad we have them. Thank you to Danny Burke, as always for being our guest. And
DB, always on Wednesdays. Tomorrow, 9 o'clock, we're back. We're the lead-in for the number 1 show on the network, Gone Racing. Brendan Gahn and Jeff Motley. Where are they this week? Where's NASCAR this weekend? Oh, sorry, Sean. Where's NASCAR this week? NASCAR this week is they were in Texas last week. Oh, they're Talladega. Oh, that's always a fun one for the Geico 500. Does that mean the Gecko is going to be there? Yes, that means we're going to have the Gecko down there at Talladega. So Jeff Motley, Brendan Gahn tomorrow at 10 o'clock. And, of course, today you're on Punchlines, Alex White.
Episode 134, I will be with Ryan McCormick and Frank Nicotero, of course.
Is there anything special for 134? No? Ryan's stoic. And he's going with the you have to tune in stuff, guys.
He does have his Bryce Harper jersey on for 34.
Because it's the old 34, what he wore in Washington. Obviously, he wears number 3 now in Philadelphia. Tomorrow, by the way, McCormick, I gotta sit with you after the show here because I got some ideas for tomorrow's show. We're going to stump Frank on some players that played for the 2 teams that are playing in Queens today. Be a lot of fun on that. Be looking for that tomorrow. All right, we're back tomorrow, 9 in the morning. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio. We'll see you then.